Hey everybody, John Today and Daryl Weeks here. We're going to be getting started here in just about 15 seconds. Just want to say hello. We're just waiting for a few more people to log in. When they do that, we will go ahead and get started. Hope everybody's doing well.
I think we're good to go, John. It's 7 o'clock.
Well, it's 2 o'clock. All right, yeah, exactly. 7 o'clock Daryl's time right now. Everybody, thanks for jumping on our webinar here, the no-cost marketing strategies that actually work. My name is John Today, and I'm the founder and CEO of New Financial Path here, headquartered in Chicago, Illinois, and we're really, really glad that you're here today. The fact that you're here already makes you stepping out and doing something that many people just aren't doing today, and that's looking for ways to try to make this year the best year they've ever had in their business versus being worried about all the things, quite frankly, out of their control with all the competition and different things, taking control and making a difference. And one of the things that I am so excited about that I've been actually working on with Daryl now for a few months is the ability to have him bring his programs here to teach us these strategies that are, quite frankly, they're game changing. You know, I've been in the lending industry for over 20 years, 17 years of which in the residential mortgage industry as an owner in different capacities. And I have not seen these strategies. And when Daryl and I met last year at an international conference, I was in Mexico, international marketing conference, he shared some of these strategies with him and his 30 years in the lending industry and a marketing guru. And as a leader of I think it's the Council of Small Business Association of Australia. Is that right, Daryl? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, he's the marketing strategist for the entire association nationwide. So he shared some of these concepts. I'm like, wow, those are so timely. We need to get those to the market. He's like, it's funny. I've been wanting to talk to some people from the U.S. Hence our conversation. Skip ahead a few months. We're here today. I'm not going to get any more into the details. You can look at our backgrounds on LinkedIn if you want. But guys, this is a full content, no sales pitch webinar. So take notes. Grab your pen, grab your pencil, grab your keyboard, whatever it is, your phone. Take some notes because there's going to be some great things that you can implement immediately into your business. So after that, I'm going to let Daryl take it from here, and I'm just going to go ahead and be quiet. And Daryl, go ahead and run away with it.
Thanks, John. Let me get the presentation started here and turn my webcam off here. A couple of things you might have noticed, everyone. First of all, yes, I have a bit of an accent. I am from Australia, and I am actually in what we call the bush in Australia. I had a tree change a couple of years ago and moved out of the city. I had a job with a big IT company there as director of strategy. Moved out of that, moved to the bush, so I moved the family out here. So I'm actually talking to you, which is extraordinary to me, talking to you guys in the US from Australia out in the bush. I think that's really good. Now, if you have any questions, just jot them down during the webinar. Shoot them through on the chat box, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you like as we get to the end of it. But jot them down. Happy to answer them. Okay, so this is Peter Drucker. Many of you might know who Peter Drucker is. He's considered by many to be the father of modern business management, and he said a lot of really good things. But I think this is one of his most powerful. Now, I know for lots of people, marketing is an expensive black art with no guarantee of success. It's like a mystical world of myths and legends and unfulfilled promises. Well, we're going to challenge that notion today, and I'm going to prove to you that your marketing results can not only be absolutely predictable, but also absolutely repeatable. But before we do that, I'd like to share a bit of a secret with you, and it's this. If you want to grow your business by a significant amount, don't work on becoming a better loan officer or broker or mortgage banker because you're already awesome at that. Work on becoming a better marketer, because it's the people who can outthink, outmarket, and outsell their competition who grow their business. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't invest in your professional development. Of course you should. It's part of your obligation as a mortgage professional. But if you're the best mortgage professional in the US and prospects don't know it, how are you going to generate leads? That's the secret to building a significant mortgage business. Now, keep that in mind as we go through the presentation today. So let's crack on. Now, the first thing I want to cover off is how to avoid the biggest mistake I see loan officers make when they're trying to grow their business. And that is they almost always focus on the wrong thing. Let me show you what I mean. Loan officers tend to focus on the result. That is the number of clients or loans or deals they want. But to get the result you want, you have to counterintuitively focus on the top of the funnel and accept that the result will be what the result will be, because the result is simply a function of the conversion process of taking a contact through the process to a client. Then there are two processes at work here. First, there's the marketing process, which produces contacts and leads, and second, there's your sales process, which produces prospects and client. If we clearly understand the conversion ratios and how these two processes work together, we can actually predict the number of clients we produce by making the appropriate number of contacts. And I'm going to talk about that today, but let me give you a little bit of an example here, just very quickly. Let's say your marketing creates 10 contacts, and those 10 contacts produce 7 leads, and those 7 leads generate 5 prospects, and those 5 prospects deliver you 2 clients. If you want to grow your business by 10 clients a month, you need to make or generate 40 contacts per month. It's that simple. And then monitor the conversion ratios. So to grow your business by 10, you need to get 40 contacts. This makes your marketing results predictable and replicatable. You just need to continually update your numbers. Okay, so just quickly, what are we going to cover today? Well, in a nutshell, I'm going to be teaching you counterintuitive, no-cost marketing strategies that work. I'll also be showing you why they work, or in other words, why being a bit of a maverick actually pays. Now, the first thing to understand about marketing any micro, small, or medium-sized business is that you can't market yourselves like big businesses. You just don't have the budget or the resources. So let's change our strategies to meet our budget and resources. In fact, a little bit later on, I'm going to show you a no-cost strategy that a single loan officer used to generate 2.6 million contacts. Now, remember the top of the funnel, filling it with contacts? 2.6 million contacts using one no-cost strategy that you could put in place. I'm going to show you how to do that in a little while. The bottom line is this: your marketing has to be counterintuitive to stand out from all the sheep out there. If something is intuitive, everyone is doing it. If it's counterintuitive, very few people will be doing it. This is why the mavericks do what they do. They do stuff that others aren't doing or aren't willing to do. They find things that stand out against the white noise of the competition, which is why they tend to get the results that others don't. I'll also be introducing you to a concept called hyperlocal marketing, which is a perfect strategy for loan officers with no marketing budget whatsoever. But first, just quickly, what is marketing and what is it supposed to do? Well, marketing is simply having a conversation with someone who has a problem they don't want or who wants something they don't have. Good marketing is not deceptive or misleading. If you are having the right conversation with the right audience, you don't have to mislead anyone. You don't have to use deceptive strategies because your message will resonate with your market. And what's marketing supposed to do? Well, marketing is supposed to help facilitate your potential client's decision-making process about whether they'd like to talk to you further or not. See, marketing's job is not to create clients. Its job is to create leads. It's the sales process's job to turn those leads into prospects and clients, because once your prospect has enough information to make an informed decision, that's when they choose to become a client or not. Your job is to create a compelling conversation and then have a well-designed sales process that moves the prospect through the funnel to its natural conclusion. Remember, the result will be what the result will be. Your job is to make sure that the process is robust enough to maximize that result. Now, we'll talk about just a second about the challenge that you guys are facing in the market. Now, although all the publications I've been reading lately have been telling me that the #1 challenge facing mortgage companies, loan officers, and mortgage brokers today in the US is attracting and developing new business, that's not actually the real challenge. The real challenge is this, and I'll put it to you in the form of a question. When seen through the eyes and heard through the ears of a potential client, what does your business look and sound like? Does your marketing make you look and sound like every other mortgage company or loan officer out there, or is it identifiably different? Or to put it another way, what does your marketing say that would cause a potential client to want to deal with you? Now, I had a loan officer recently say to me that, how can I be different? I have exactly the same products and I do exactly the same job as every other loan officer out there. Well, if that's the case, why are there so many different mortgage companies, lenders and banks offering mortgage loans? And if it's just about the products, why doesn't every borrower just go online and take the same loan from the same lender? Well, I'll tell you why. If you've ever had a client give you a gift after the loan is closed, or if you've ever had one cry in joy, for instance, because you saved them a ton of money or reduced their debt or showed them how they could afford that dream home, then you'll understand why your clients deal with you. It's because of you. It's because you are awesome, not the product. The product is the product. You are the variable. So let's build on that variable and turn you into a compelling argument for people to want to do business with you. And the first thing we have to do is we have to understand that we need to overcome what's called the outside perception of your business versus the inside reality. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to share one of the most powerful concepts in marketing with you, and that is that reality usually plays no part in marketing. Now, I'll repeat that. Reality usually plays no part in marketing. Now, I know some of you had a bit of a reaction to that statement, so let me tell you what I mean. If your inside reality is that you are awesome at what you do and you're better than any of your competitors, you care more, you do more, you're just fantastic, you get the best results, you love your clients, but your marketing looks and sounds like everyone else's, what's the outside perception? The outside perception is you're just like everybody else. So the reality of you being awesome is playing no part in your marketing. So the only conclusion that your prospects can come to is that you're just like everybody else. So how do we fix this? What do you have to do? Well, we have to get your outside perception to match your inside reality. Simple. And how do we do that? We do that by changing your marketing message. Now, let me start by giving you the shortest course in marketing that can be taught and learned, and it's called the 4 M's. And the 4 M's of marketing are these. First of all, there's the market. If marketing is about having a conversation with someone who has a problem they don't want or wants something they don't have, who specifically do you want to have that conversation with? See, it doesn't do anyone any good to try and market lawnmowers to people who live in condos because they have no need for lawnmowers. So the big mistake I see lots of loan officers make is they think everyone is in their market, and they just aren't. We need to know who you're having a conversation or who you want to have a conversation with. Then we can craft a message. Okay, so now we've decided who we want to have the conversation with. We now need to decide what we want to say to them, which is our message. So what's your message? What can you say that will inspire your market to connect with you, to take some form of action? And what action do you want them to take? And don't say you want them to buy from you, because that only works for regular low-cost purchases like ordering pizza. You don't sell pizza. You sell complex financial instruments with serious consequences. I've never seen anyone walk down the street and say to themselves, oh, hang on a second, I need to pick up some milk, bread, and a mortgage. It just doesn't happen like that. So you need to know what you want your prospects or your leads to do. What step do you want them to take? So now we've decided who we want to have a conversation with and what we want to say to them. We need to create a motivator. Now, a motivator is some form of inducement. It's a low risk, no risk offer that allows your target market to take action that moves them closer to you with no risk to themselves. A small step that has them saying to themselves, you are awesome and I want to do business with you. Now, I'm going to show you how to do this very, very shortly. Now, we have that sorted. Now what we need to do is we need a way to get your message to your target market. So a medium is required, and a medium is a platform that you use to deliver your message. Now, maybe that's the newspaper or the radio, maybe it's social media or banner ads or electronic direct mail, or that's for you to decide. We have to figure out where your market hangs out. Now, I'm going to repeat the secret I gave you earlier to building a super successful mortgage business, and that is, don't spend your time becoming the best mortgage professional in the world. Spend it becoming the best marketer you can be. Okay, so let's jump into our first no-cost marketing strategy. Now, when I say strategy, I'm talking about your message. Strategic marketing is what you say and how you say it. Tactical marketing, on the other hand, is where you say it. It's the medium you use to get your message across to market. And in almost every case, the strategy is far more important than the tactic. But far too often I hear people talk about we need to run a Facebook campaign or we need to run some kind of social media. The problem is, if you don't know what to say, the tactic, social media, has no effect and you don't get any return. It's why so many campaigns fail, and I see this all the time. I'm going to show you this very shortly. So let's jump into our first no-cost strategy, and I'll show you what I mean. And it revolves around the world's #1 social media tactic for business. Now, it also happens to be free and it also happens to be the most powerful tool you have at your disposal, and it's Google My Business. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how powerful it is in just a moment, but before we do that, I have to ask you a couple of questions. My first question is this: do you have a Google My Business page? And if you do you have any reviews? And if you do, how are you using those reviews to help you generate more leads? Because if you don't have a Google My Business page, I have to ask you, why not? The Google My Business 3-stack, which you'll see in a second, is simply the most valuable real estate on Google. You get your business listed there and you will generate leads. Simple as that. So let me show you exactly or why it's so powerful and why it's so valuable. So search engines read Google, and I talk about Google because Google is the #1 search engine in the world, have now overtaken traditional media as being the #1 trusted news source globally. Google is the #1 search engine in the world. 92% of consumers now read online reviews for local businesses. On average, consumers check 10 reviews before making a buying decision. So you can see that having independently verifiable social proof that you are awesome at what you do is very, very powerful. In fact, I had a client recently, and we built 35 5-star reviews for them on their Google My Business page, and within 2 days, he had an $850,000 loan application, and he rang me and said, "Daryl, this stuff works." This guy rang me because he said, "You had the best reviews of any of the loan officers in my area." And I said, "I know it works because the perception that you are awesome has been created because other people have given you 5-star reviews." So let me give you an example of how this translates in the real world. Now, this is a little difficult to see, but this is CC Summerfield. She's a realtor from San Diego. And the counterintuitive strategy that CC ran was to attend networking functions and hand out a card with the words, "Just Google CC Summerfield" written on the back. She wasn't trying to drive them to her website. She wasn't trying to drive them to testimonials. She was trying to drive them to Google, because Google is an independent source, or perceived as an independent source. And when you Google CC Summerfield, this is what comes up. What's Google saying about it? Now, it's very difficult to see here, but what you've actually got up the top here is you've got, right underneath her name, you've got 5 stars, 33 reviews and 5 stars. Then you've got her Facebook reviews, which is 5 out of 5 and 8 votes. And then you've got her Zillow reviews, which is 31 reviews, 5 out of 5. So CC dominates the entire page with positive stuff. Check out the videos she's got. She's got videos that come up when you Google her. And this is all establishing that CC is awesome at what she does, and she hasn't said a word. Google has. So what do you think prospects are thinking of her? Let me ask you this. What do you think of CC? Do you think CC is now presenting as being pretty good at what she does? And she hasn't said a word to you. She got 33 5-star reviews. You know, she must be pretty good because clients are leaving her 5-star reviews. Now, this is called hyper-local marketing. It's about dominating your local market, not taking over the world. This is what you want a contact or a prospect to find when they Google you. And believe me, they will Google you. 92% of people now Google a local business or individual before doing business with them. I suspect some of you people will Google someone before you go and meet with them. You'll do some research. So this is why it's so important to know, or better still, control what Google says about you. But this isn't the really valuable stuff. Let me show you that. Now, this is, let me just walk through this once again. So I apologize for the poor quality here. I did a Google search for tax accountant Chicago, and this is what I found. First of all, you see the AdWords up the top. Now, this is where people pay to get at the top of the Google search. Now, something like 80% of all people ignore AdWords. Now, having said that, I've got friends who click on the AdWords because it costs the businesses money, and they go, well, it serves you right for paying up there. But 80% of people actually ignore the AdWords. The businesses paying for these, I suspect, are probably wasting their money, because I've had a look at them and none of them have a lead funnel. None of them have a process for their prospects to go through, or their leads to go through, that will lead them to the conclusion that they want to do business with these guys. So it's a waste of time and money. The next big problem here is that the top listing in the 3-stack. Now, underneath the map there, that's actually known as the 3-stack. And the top listing, Valdez Tax, is paying to be at the top there. You can see the little green AdWords there, little green AD next to their name. The problem is they have no reviews. So why would you pay to publicize the fact that no one thinks you are good enough to leave you a review. Now, if I was a marketing strategist working in Chicago, I'd be ringing these guys and saying, hey, you've got a major problem with your marketing. You're paying to be in the most valuable real estate on Google, but you have no reviews. You're not telling anyone that you're any good, and your clients aren't telling you that they're any good. Of the top 3 organically listed businesses, which are the next 3, which is once again, the most valuable real estate on Google, only one of them has any kind of clue how powerful this real estate is. Can you guess which one it is? Have a look at SJR Consulting. Once again, I apologize for the poor quality here, but even though they only have 9 reviews, they are all 5 stars. The ACT Group, who occupy the number 1 spot, have 11 reviews, but they only have a 4.3 star average. And they have a 4.3 star average because they don't know what their clients are saying about them. So let's just have a slightly closer look here so you can see it better. These 3 businesses, first of all, have no idea how they even got in the 3 stack, or what to do now they're here, or what to do to stay there. And once again, this is the most valuable real estate on the internet, and none of these businesses have a clue how to maximize this awesome opportunity. South Loop CPA at the bottom have no reviews. What a waste of space. Why wouldn't you have 50 5-star reviews? Seriously, everyone's trying to SEO or search engine optimize their websites. That's where you try and get it ranked more highly on Google. But how many people are trying to SEO their Google My Business page? And most business owners don't realize that you can optimize your Google My Business page to appear in the 3 stack. You can do that. There's a process that you can go through to make sure you get found. Imagine that you were getting found here when someone was searching for loan officer wherever you live, and you came up as the number 1 loan officer and you had 35 5-star reviews. Do you think you might get some phone calls from that? These guys occupy some of the most valuable real estate on Google, and they don't know what they're doing. Now, here's a hint. If you want to get 5-star reviews, ask for 5-star reviews. And if a client won't give you a 5-star review, ask them what you have to do to earn a 5-star review. So let me give you an example of a profession that's actually doing it right. Now, I did a Google search for best dentist Chicago, because if I was in Chicago and I needed a dentist, I wanted to go to the best dentist I can find in Chicago. In my mind, the more stars they have, the less pain they must inflict. So I want to go to the dentist with the most. Anyway, what do you notice here? First of all, there's no one is paying for AdWords, which means no one is commercializing the search term best dentist Chicago. So once again, if I was working with dentists in Chicago, I could generate a bucket load of leads from this one strategy alone. But I digress for a second. Have a look at the reviews. Look at the number 1 listing. Who thinks Downtown Dental Loop looks like a pretty good dentist? They have 590 reviews with an average of 4.9 stars. Knowing nothing else about this dental group, I would go there in a heartbeat. And all I know about them is they've got 590 people have said they are awesome. What kind of message am I getting from these guys? What kind of message is Downtown Dental Loop giving me? They're telling me that they are awesome at what they do, and they haven't said a word. Now, let me show you how powerful it can be in the wrong, when you get it wrong. Now, I expanded my search, which you can do on the 3 stack there to bring up the additional listings, and take particular notice of the 2nd listing from the top. Knowing nothing else about these 4 dentists, other than the reviews you see here, who would be happy to go to Sunriser Family Dental in Cage Park with 21 reviews and a 2.5-star average? Now, I wouldn't, because I'm going, hang on a second, 21 people reviewed them and they've got a 2.5-star average. But who would be happy to go to the number 1 listing, Diverta Dental Studio, with 39 reviews and a 4.9-star average? See how powerful this is? You immediately came to a conclusion about who was good at what they do and who was bad at what they do based on independently verifiable social proof. So this is what you need to build. You need to build this so you can start to get your message across to your potential clients without you saying you're awesome. And you can't underestimate how powerful this is, and it's only going to become more important. Okay, so now let's move on to the world's number 2 most powerful social media tactic, which is YouTube. Now, who has a YouTube channel? And if you don't, why not? There's 2 reasons people watch YouTube. One is to be entertained. They want to see cars crashing, cats playing pianos, and people failing. And 2, to be educated. how do I iron a silk shirt? How do I repair a fiberglass boat? How do I get rid of ants? In fact, the how do I searches in the last 5 years have increased 70% year on year. How do I? Now, remember that, because this is really, really important. I'm going to show you how important in just a second. Now, the biggest mistake I see businesses make when they're creating a video is they create an ad and they expect viewers to watch it. Well, we tune out of ads. It's the very reason the remote control was invented, so we could mute the ads or change the channel. No one watches YouTube to watch ads. They watch it to get information that they can use. Now, let me give you some mind-blowing stats on YouTube here. YouTube's a seriously powerful search engine in its own right, but it's owned by Google, so the search algorithms are similar. They're not the same, but they are similar. 73% of people will watch a video if it appears in a Google search. So why wouldn't you be producing quality video content? Now, here's something that a lot of people don't know. You can get a video ranked in a Google search. A YouTube video can appear in a Google search, and you can SEO or search engine optimize it, but everybody is spending their time search engine optimizing their websites. No one is spending time search engine optimizing their Google My Business page or their YouTube videos. Now, let me show you how powerful a YouTube channel can be. This is Guaranteed Rate. I'm sure you've all heard of Guaranteed Rate. This is their YouTube channel page. Now, have a look at the views on their promoted video there. It's a little difficult to see, but it's Frank Thomas's dream home, and they've got almost 1.2 million views in 6 months. Now, that's pretty impressive. So that's 1.2 million contacts. Remember the top of the funnel? These are people who've contacted this. Pretty impressive, you'd have to say. I'd hate to think what they paid Frank Thomas for his services, but I'm guessing it wasn't cheap. I'm from Australia, and I even know who Frank Thomas is. So let's have a quick look at their other videos and see how successful they've been. Out of the 10 videos on this page, there's only one of them that has any real views, and I suspect that's because it's being run as an ad or an advertisement on different media. Anyway, 9 of these videos have had a handful of views in YouTube terms. Like to see how you can outthink and outmarket Guaranteed Rate and spend about $10 in total and get twice the views of their big star video without spending millions of dollars? Check this out. I did a YouTube search for how to pay off your mortgage, and you'll see the search up the top. So how to pay off your mortgage. Remember, how to searches have increased 70% year on year over the last 5 years. The #1 listing is Laura Pitko. Laura has over 2.6 million views in the last year. That's 2.6 million contacts that she's had in the last year. The #4 listing from the Quack Brothers has had 2.1 million views in a year. If you watch Laura's video, you'll see she literally spent about $10 on the entire production. She put some Christmas lights around a whiteboard. But, and here's the big but here, even though she has generated 2.6 million views, she's failed to capitalize on this success. She's made the same mistake that 99% of all businesses that have a YouTube channel make, and that she's not building a list of prospects from her viewers. She's not giving them a low risk, no risk offer, something to download that she can capture their first name and email address, something that will allow her to start a conversation. Now, imagine for a second if Laura converted just 1/2 of all those views into a list. That's over 13,000 people now on her marketing list in 1 year. She will have built a marketing list of 13,000 prospects who searched how to pay off your mortgage fast. I think there's a fair indication that these people might be interested in paying their mortgage off fast. Now, do you think with the right process, Laura might be able to convert, let's say, just 5% of that list, of that 13,000, just 5% of that list into clients? That's 650 new clients. Let's halve that. Let's say 2.5%. That's 325 new clients in a year. That's 1 per day. And if you take those numbers down to the ridiculous, down to just 1%, that's 130 new clients in a year from one strategy that contacted 2.6 million people. And you can do this. This is absolutely doable. And the cost here, like I said, she spent $10 on the lights. Don't spend the $10 on the lights around the whiteboard, and it costs you nothing. Okay, So how do you own your local market? Let's use this concept, or these concepts I've just shared with you. Let's use these concepts to start to create a perception in the minds of your prospects that you are the best loan officer in your area. Because I think it's fair to say that when people are looking to deal with a loan officer, they are more likely to want to deal with the loan officer they perceive to be the best. Now, you might be the best, but unless you are perceived as the best, it's worth naught. Remember, inside reality, outside perception. What's the outside perception? Let's create an outside perception that you are awesome. This is how you spread the message that you are the best without simply beating your own drum. No one listens to anyone who says I'm the best at what I do, unless they are actually the best. That happens very, very rarely. But let me give you an example of how easy it is to get that message both right and wrong. So how do we do this? Let me use an example. Let's imagine that we had a dinner party at your house and you invited me to your home and you had 20 of your best friends at the dinner party. And let's imagine that for the first half hour, I did nothing but talk loudly about how awesome I am. I guarantee you that within the first 30 seconds to a minute, your best friend is going to lean over and say, this guy is a jerk. He won't shut up talking about himself. Well, that's advertising, because advertising screams at you, we are the best, we are the best, we've been around the longest, we have the lowest prices, we have the best service. They keep screaming that at you and we go, enough already. But imagine that same dinner party that you invited me, 20 of your best friends, and I don't say a word and someone says, oh, hang on, is that Daryl Weeks? I've got his book on no-cost marketing strategy. Brilliant book. We implemented some of the strategies and they worked like a treat. Now people are saying, hang on, who is this guy? He must know what he's talking about. Or alternatively, same dinner party, same 20 people, I don't say a word and someone says, oh, I see you got Daryl here. I worked with Daryl last year. We tripled our volume in 12 months. It was fantastic. I haven't said a word. Now the people at that party come to the conclusion, this guy must be pretty good at what he does, and they want to talk to me. And I haven't said a word. So how do we create that outside perception that matches the reality that you're awesome without you telling everyone? Well, your Google My Business reviews and your YouTube videos are a great start, but let's make it even more powerful. Let me give you an example of how you might do that. In fact, this strategy is so powerful, it will drive all the leads you can handle without you even advertising your name, your phone number, your website. In fact, there's nothing at all to identify you in the ideal situation, nothing at all to identify you, but it's so powerful, it will have your competition willingly contributing to the success of your campaign. Let me show you how we did this. This is a real example of what we did. The search term up the top there is find the best real estate agent North Sydney. Now, what you're seeing here is an example of what I referred to earlier as hyperlocal marketing. That's the process of positioning yourself to dominate a local market. It's also an example of what we call unbranded organic marketing, because you'll notice that the search, and once again, was for find the best real estate agent North Sydney. I'm looking for a service provider and I want to deal with the best I can find. Now, when I did that, you'll notice here three things. First of all, the top listing in the 3-stack, Lang & Simmons. They have 67 reviews with an average of 4.9 stars. Now, we got them there. We actually search engine optimized their Google My Business page to get them in the top space. They have a look at their competition. They've got Richardson & Wrench with 22 reviews at 4.5 and Century 21 with 29 reviews at 4.2. You'll also notice that the #1 organic listing in the website is not their website, but a Google video, top tips to find the best real estate agent North Sydney. Now, that has branding on it, which was counter to what the strategy was, but the CEO wanted their branding on it. But anyway, 73% of people will watch a video if the video shows up in a Google search. So now we're occupying the #1 spot in the 3-stack with 67 reviews at 4.9 star average, and we've got a video in the #1 spot organically. And have a look at the next listing, it's their website. So we're occupying the top 3 spots. Now, just to put this in context, the suburb is called North Sydney. Now, it's on Sydney Harbour, and it contains some of the most expensive real estate in the world. And Google has just told you that these people, like Lang & Simmons, are the best real estate agents in North Sydney. So if you're looking to buy or sell your property, wouldn't you be, I don't know, a little bit curious about getting in touch with these guys? And Google's just told me they're the best, so why not? It's not a bad start, but it gets even better. When I click on the video, it takes me to a YouTube channel, and here's the video. It says top 3 tips to help you find the best agent for you. Now, what it says basically is to find the best real estate agent in North Sydney, check the Google reviews. This is an instruction for the viewer to confirm that Lang & Simmons are the best because they have a heap of 5-star reviews. So we drive the viewer back to the Google My Business reviews to confirm that Lang & Simmons are the best real estate agents in North Sydney. Now, notice the link in blue down the bottom there. We direct the viewers at the end of the video to download our top 10 tips, because people like something that's tactile. The top 3 tips is here. How about you download my top 10 tips? When they click on that link down the bottom, they come to this page. It's a landing page with a short video about the company and a download button. Now, what the video says effectively is, why do so many people put their trust in Lang & Simmons? Maybe it's because we know the area better than anyone else. Maybe it's because we constantly get better prices, but it doesn't really matter what we think. What matters is what our clients think. And with a heap of 5-star reviews, you know our clients must think we're pretty good. Then the visitor clicks on the download button and they get this screen. Just enter your first name and email address to have our top 10 tips emailed directly to you. Now, do you think we might be building a list of leads, people who are looking for the best real estate agent in North Sydney? Because if you're looking for tips on how to find the best real estate agent in North Sydney, there's a fair chance you're either looking to buy or looking to sell property in North Sydney, and you're looking for someone who's perceived to be really good. Now, some of you who are familiar with Google searches might be saying, well, that's all fine and dandy, Daryl, but how are we going to get Google? Who is going to Google how to find the best real estate agent in North Sydney? It's not a standard Google search. And that's an excellent point. And let me show you how. What if we took out an ad in the local paper that said this? What if we had business cards printed up with this search term on the back? Want to find the best real estate agent North Sydney? Just Google find the best real estate agent North Sydney. Nothing to identify you at all. The ad contains no phone number, no name, no website, nothing to identify you, which is completely counterintuitive to what every other marketing person will tell you. Now imagine for a moment that a competitor from North Sydney reads this ad in the newspaper or hears it on the radio. Do you think they might be compelled to Google that search term? And every time they do, it pushes the video further up the rankings. It pushes the 3-stack listing, the Google My Business page, further up the rankings. Therefore, they contribute to the success of your campaign. Could you do this? Could you do this on a billboard? This would work from a direct mail campaign. This would work on a billboard. This drives people to do what they naturally do, which is to Google things. And when they Google them, we now find out that you're the best at what you do. You could position yourself as the best loan officer in insert your local area or your town or your suburb or whatever it is. Okay, now let's jump into what I believe are the 2 biggest untapped mortgage markets in the US. Now the first, and this is universally applicable, whether I'm working with someone in the UK or whether I'm working with someone in New Zealand or Australia or Singapore, it seems to be exactly the same. The first is your own database. It never ceases to amaze me that the loan officers don't market to their own client base, or they leave it to the lender, or if they do, their message is way off. First of all, why would you leave the lender to build a relationship with your client? The lender is just a supplier of a product. You were the contact point. You're the only reason the lender even knows who this borrower is. It's because of you that they were introduced to them. That's the first market. The second market is what I've been looking at, is the refinance market. Now, before you roll your eyes, let me give you some numbers and a powerful concept that will allow you to position yourself completely differently to the vast majority of loan officers out there. And I'll let John run through this because he's the local expert when it comes to the market. So John, can you take this?
You bet. Yeah, it's amazing. Where I was doing some research here recently on CFPB's website, different federal banking sites, and looking at St. Louis Fed, a few others. And it really is amazing when you look at the size of the U.S. residential market. The Federal Reserve, is a $10.3 trillion market. But what's been happening, we all know that there was with the drop in rates last year for a period of time, that it went up and it was down. We saw some opportunities for refinances, but the reality is there are people has grown tremendously over the last few years. A lot of us have experienced that. I had clients selling some. I think of one client in Colorado. They're selling a home that they had. They're in the Denver area. They sold it because their value had skyrocketed so much and the rates were so competitive. They sold that house, bought their forever home, so they get net. They're coming out at about the same overall cost for a much nicer home. But the reality is, with all these new home sales that was going on, there was also a rise in consumer credit card debt. Savings also at the same time at the average American household started going down again. So a lot of the things that kind of got us into the financial bubble in the first place are still kind of happening out there. So there's a bunch of new home sales. There's a ton of equity out there. The average equity in the United States for a home, which is shocking to me when I researched a couple of places, is 55.3% is the average LTV of a home in the United States. Now, granted, that's going to factor some, baby boomers, or maybe they have their homes paid off, and you're going to have some newer people who have lower down payment options. But the average is 55.3, and yet, when you're looking at people's consumer debt continues to grow. I was looking at one stat the other day, and it was saying the average credit card debt for the family of four in the United States today is in excess of, well, one said 17,000, one said 19, one said 13. Let's just call it 15,000. $15,000 is an average interest rate of close to 20%. Folks, there is an opportunity for the strategy we're going to talk about a little bit more about how you can position that. So let's get rate off the table. Let's talk about ways that you can kind of manage the debt, because that's really what we're doing. We sell debt. So what can we do to help them manage that? I'm going to let Daryl kind of talk more into that. There's a huge opportunity, and there are people that are so focused on trying to get purchase business, that they're leaving millions of dollars of untapped loan potential without having the rate and competition challenges that they would have on the purchase market, right? Quite frankly, right in your own databases. So Daryl, why don't you go ahead and take it from there?
Thanks, John. Awesome stuff. So how do we use this information to help us market ourselves? How do we use this information to help us create prospects? Well, the first thing to understand is that literally 96% of all the people who could potentially do business with you aren't looking to do business with you today. Only 4% are today clients, but everyone is trying to market to the 4%. Everyone's trying to get the buyers. Everyone's trying to get to those people who have a time constraint and want to get a loan today. Well, the biggest part of the market that's virtually untapped is the people who aren't looking for finance. They're looking to save money, because as we know, people will borrow and will spend virtually every cent they've got. So let's look at a couple of strategies and a concept that will help you leverage off this information and turn this into leads. Now, we've all heard of investment portfolios, but every single borrower out there who has more than one loan has a loan portfolio. Now, to decide which one is more important, ask yourself this question: which one costs you money? Is it your investment portfolio or your loan portfolio? Your loan portfolio costs you money every single month. So if you start talking about working with clients' loan portfolios instead of talking about working with their mortgages, now you can reposition yourself so you can talk to people about their entire loan portfolio. Now, to leverage off this concept, I would position myself as a mortgage planner or a loan planner. Now, to be perceived as being better than the average loan officer, why not do what you need to do to be able to call yourself a mortgage planner or a loan planner? Now, when I say average loan officer, I'm talking about the perception of the market, the inside reality versus the outside perception. What's the perception of the market of loan officers? I'd suggest to you that the perception is loan officers all do exactly the same job. And it's not until you do business with someone that they see how awesome you actually are. But we're about changing the outside perception. Now, I understand that different states have different laws governing this, so let's not get caught up in the detail just yet. I'm talking conceptually. If you were to position yourself as a mortgage planner who dealt with clients' loan portfolios, would this positioning allow you to present yourself and be perceived as something unique, something different, something more powerful? Okay, so let's make this even more powerful. What if you started to focus your marketing on the refi market, but in your marketing, instead of offering a refi service or a financial health check, which drives me nuts, you offered a mortgage makeover? And what's a mortgage makeover? Well, a mortgage makeover is conducted over the phone, and it only takes 15 minutes. And within 15 minutes, you assess someone's entire loan portfolio and tell them whether they could actually save money every month by repackaging their loans, taking cash out and paying off all those personal loans, those credit cards, those store cards, those car loans, packaging up a loan portfolio that actually creates better cash flow. Because for most people, they don't have too much debt, but their cash flow is affected because the lenders dictate the terms of the loan repayments. So do you think your pitch and offer would now sound far more compelling if you're talking to someone and positioning yourself as, for instance, a mortgage planner who deals with clients' loan portfolios, and you've got this mortgage makeover process that allows you to identify how much money they could save? So when you met someone, for instance, at a networking event, and they asked you what you did, you could say something like this: well, I'm a mortgage planner, and I work with clients who have a debt portfolio. For example, they might have a mortgage, a car or personal loan, or a few credit cards and some store cards. Well, what I do is drastically improve their monthly cash flow while at the same time show them how to pay their debt off faster. In fact, I can usually determine exactly how much they can put back in their pocket each month within about 15 minutes. And if they say, how do you do that? You could say this: well, nearly everyone has a few unrelated loans hanging around, and most tend to be unstructured and taken out at different times. For most of my clients, this has left them with multiple repayment schedules that don't really reflect the way they could actually pay off their debt. And it often leaves them stressed and financially stretched at the end of each month. And because loans are designed to work for the lender, not the borrower, they believed there was nothing they could do to improve this. So they'd sort of taken a set and forget approach. Well, this is where I come in. I've developed a process called a mortgage makeover that allows my clients to identify exactly how much they could put back in their pockets. I find around here, now I'm making these numbers up, so you'd have to do your own research. I find around here my clients can usually save between $6,000 and $8,000 a year as a minimum. In fact, I'm offering everyone here tonight at the networking function who's a home loan or a loan portfolio a complimentary mortgage makeover. So if I could tell you exactly how much money you could potentially save on your loan portfolio every month, would that be worth 15 minutes of your time? Do you think that pitch might generate some interest? Do you think people might say, yeah, I'd be interested in having that because it's a no-risk, low-risk offer? So let's pull this together, and let's start to build the process for you to be able to articulate your value to the market in the form of your pitch. Now, I've just given you an example of a pitch, and you need to develop your own pitch if you're going to use this strategy. You need to be able to articulate your value to your market so it doesn't sound like one of those ridiculous sales pitches that virtually every business coach out there tries to teach them, which is they try to sell everyone you meet. And that just makes people want to avoid you. I'm talking about using your own words in a completely natural way to have a conversation that both identifies and engages your market. And when I say articulate what you do, I'm talking about the outcome, not the process. I just gave you an example of that. You see, the business you're in has nothing to do with the products or the services you sell. It's all about how your customers feel after they've done business with them. It's about the outcomes. So what outcomes do your clients experience when they do business with you? How are their lives improved by working with you? So let me give an example of my pitch. So I do networking events, one a month, and I generate 10 leads per month. And the pitch that I have is someone says to me, so Daryl, what do you do? And I say, well, I'm a marketing strategist, and I work with the owners of small and medium-sized professional service businesses, particularly those that have got no marketing budget whatsoever, because I teach a range of no-cost marketing strategies that help them generate all the leads they can handle. Now, there's 5 hot buttons in there, and if I hit those 5 hot buttons, the next words out of the prospect's mouth is, how do you do that? And then I go on to my offer. My offer is, I do a marketing makeover. I actually go in and have a look at people's marketing makeover. I'm in the process of writing a book at the moment. I'm using this data for my book. So I say, look, I'll look at your marketing, tell you exactly what you're doing wrong, and tell you how to fix it, provided I can use the information in my book. No risk. So you need a compelling no risk, low risk offer that allows any of your leads to identify and progress along the path of doing business with you by letting them see how awesome you are. Now that we've developed a pitch and offer, we need to rehearse it. We need to rehearse it so it doesn't sound rehearsed. We need to rehearse it so it sounds natural. My pitch has stutters and pauses in it, not because I don't know what I'm saying. It's because that's how we talk. That's how I talk. Everyone has a bit of a stutter, or when they're talking to people, they're trying to tell them what's going on. You don't want it to come out too slick because it sounds like it's rehearsed. Now we need to figure out where your prospects hang out. Do they hang out on LinkedIn, Facebook, at home, maybe an event? What mediums can you use that will allow you to have a conversation with someone who has a problem they don't want or wants something they don't have? Here's an oldie but a goodie. Let me share this one with you. Networking. Now, no doubt, most, if not all of you, have tried your hand at networking at some time or another, and I suspect that you've had different experience, or you've experienced different levels of success. Well, I'm going to give you a process that I promise not only works, but will allow you to use a networking strategy as part of your ongoing marketing efforts. Now, to make it work for you, I'm going to combine several tactics in the form of a powerful message platform. And some that we've already discussed, I'm going to pull those in and show you how powerful they can be to help you do this. Now, this is designed to compel a genuine lead to want to do business with you before they've even spoken to you about their problems. Now, there's actually 7 components to a successful networking strategy. And the first one is the approach. Now, this is the mindset you have going into the event. The approach you take into any networking function is not to go there to find prospects or leads or clients. You go there to find people you could potentially help. You go to connect with people who have a problem they don't want or who want something they don't have. You're not going to sell them anything. Go with that mindset, and it changes how you're perceived. It changes your language. The next thing you need is a target. Now, that is, how many people do you estimate who will be in attendance at this function might need your help? So, for instance, in a room of 20 people, how many do you think you could potentially help using our new approach with a mortgage makeover and loan portfolio? If you do this a couple of times, you'll establish some base numbers, so you'll be able to work it out. But if you know your numbers, you can make a pretty good educated guess. So let's say out of a room of 20 people, could you imagine that there might be 5 people in that room you could help? If that's the case, your mission is now to find those 5 people and not leave the event until you've found them and told them that you could potentially help them. Number 3 is you need to position yourself in the minds of the attendees so you stand out from all the other loan officers out there. Now, smart positioning simply means identifying something that you have that stands you out from the crowd in a good way. It means being able to position yourself as the good guy, so as to reduce any tension, resistance a new contact might have. Smart positioning, or in some circles, it might be called a market dominating position. Others, it's called a unique selling position. Whatever you call it, you need to understand that this is what it is the risk is that's being perceived about you is just the same as every other loan officer right there, unless you position yourself differently. So let's imagine that we position ourselves as a mortgage planner, and that's our smart positioning. We're not saying I'm a loan officer, I'm saying I'm a mortgage planner, which now allows you to articulate why that's different, because no one knows what a mortgage planner is. That's where our powerful pitch comes in. Now, as I mentioned, contrary to what 99% of all the business coaches out there teach you, your pitch cannot be a blatant sales pitch. It has to be a statement that encapsulates the value you deliver to your market in a concise and easily digestible statement. For instance, if you sold lawnmowers and you were talking to someone who lived in a condo, why would you waste their time and yours trying to pitch them on your lawnmowers? This is why a powerful pitch has 2 parts. The initial 10-second statement, which I've shared with you already, and then a 30-second follow-up statement that lets them understand what your offer is if they're interested in the 10-second pitch. So there's no interest in your 10-second pitch, you don't deliver your 30-second follow-up. Simple as that. But if there is interest, then you deliver your 30-second follow-up. The next thing we need is a compelling offer. Now, your mortgage makeover is an invitation for someone who shows interest in your 10-second pitch to experience how awesome you are. An offer has to be very low risk, or better still, present the person you're talking to with no risk whatsoever if they accept it. It must deliver value to them regardless of whether they do business with you or not, and it must demonstrate that you really know your stuff. That's why the mortgage makeover works. Now, you can get paid in a number of ways with the mortgage makeover. You can either pick up a client who says, hey, I want to save $6,000 a year. You can pick up a 5-star review and say, gee whiz, that was great stuff, but I don't want to business with you. Would you give me a 5-star review? Yes, I would. So you're building your independently verifiable social proof. Or alternatively, you could ask them for a referral and say, do you know someone who might benefit from my mortgage makeover, to tell them how much money they could potentially save. It's a no-risk referral because you're not trying to sell anything. You're trying to help people. You're trying to help them overcome a problem they don't want which is I don't have any money left at the end of each month. The next thing we need is we need independently verifiable social proof that you are awesome at what you do. And that's where your Google My Business and your Facebook 5-star reviews come in. Now, a networking event is just a tactic. It simply gives you a medium that allows you to deliver your message, your powerful pitch. And this is just the start. You have to have independently verifiable social proof to support your message so that your market can verify to their satisfaction that you really know your stuff. We build this supporting message foundation on our social media platforms. The truth of the matter is, testimonials on websites are virtually valueless these days. Prospects want independently verifiable social proof to support their decision. If someone comes to a conclusion that you are awesome, you're awesome. Simple as that. So we need to support that concept. We need to support that thought. Finally, to pull all this together, we need a tool that directs your contacts to do what you want them to do, which is you want them to find your social proof that you are awesome. So we need a business card that directs your contact to do what we want them to do, which is check out your social proof. A little tip here. If you haven't Googled yourself recently, you really need to, and you need to see what Google is saying about you. There might be stuff on there that is completely wrong. There might be stuff on there from old companies. There might be all sorts of things on there. But imagine for a second that you went through this process and you met someone at a networking event, you told them to Google you, and they Google you, and you have a whole heap of 5-star reviews, a number of great videos, a LinkedIn profile that supports what you actually said. What if all this came up on page 1 of Google? Wouldn't you want them to Google you? Wouldn't you want them to check you out? So don't leave it up to the contact to decide whether they'll Google you or not. Help them along. Give them some direction. Now, this now brings us to the world's 9 most powerful words, and I'm about to give them to you. And these are the most powerful words you can ever say to a prospect. But before I share them, let me put them in context. Imagine for a second you attended a networking night where you put your 7-part strategy to good use, and you generated 5 quality leads. You have your Google and your Facebook reviews in place, and your YouTube video, and your mortgage makeover process down pat. So the prospect Googles you, they find all the 5-star reviews, think you're fantastic. You get them on the phone, you do your 15-minute mortgage makeover process, and you actually identify that they could potentially save $6,000 per year. Then you would ask them this question using the 9 most powerful words. We've just found you $6,000 a year in savings. Would you like me to help you with that? Do you think if you asked this question after they checked you out on Google, having just experienced how awesome you are with your mortgage makeover, that there is probably a better than fair chance that they will say, yes, we'd like you to help us with that. What do we need to do next? This is a low impact, low risk strategy that allows you to connect with people and have them see how awesome you are and then go, gee whiz, you can help me. Okay. So that brings us to the end of the first part of the webinar. We still have the bonus session to go for those of you who want to stick around, which is the process I used to generate 30 referrals per year per client. When I had my mortgage broking business, I built a serious business using this one strategy. But right now, the first thing I'd like to ask you is if you think the content was really good, and if you genuinely think it was, then I'd like to ask you to leave John or I a 5-star review. Now we'll send you the link. We'll email you the link, so you don't have to worry about that. All you do is click on the link and then go to our business page or Facebook page and leave us a 5-star review. But only if you think the content was great. The second thing I'd like to ask you is this: because we genuinely want to help you grow your business, here's what we'd like to do. At no cost to you, and because there's 2 things. We want to establish some credibility in the United States. We will conduct a marketing makeover on your business. Once again, at no cost to you whatsoever. In this marketing makeover, we'll look at your online messaging, including your website, your LinkedIn page, your Facebook page, your Google My Business page, your YouTube channel, and your email signature block. And we'll give you feedback on all of them and tell you exactly where you're going wrong and how to fix it. We do around 2 hours worth of research before we even speak to you. So we do some serious research. We'll also give you 3 no-cost marketing strategies that you can put straight into your business. And all we ask in return is your permission to use the results unnamed in our new book. That's it. We're writing a new book, and I need to have some case study. Now, we're not going to put your name in there, and unless you're absolutely fantastic and you want us to do that. But I just want to create some real research in the industry, so I can go out there and say, I've interviewed X amount of people. Here's my book. We've got 500 loan officers we interviewed, and this is what we found. So if you'd like to take us up on our offer, our email addresses are on the screen, or you can use the chat box and leave us a message there. Either way, we'll get in touch with you. Come back to us and let us know. Thanks for joining us on the webinar. We're going to start the bonus session in about 60 seconds, and it'll run for about 15 minutes. And once again, there's no selling in this. I'm giving you great content because I'm trying to establish the credibility of my content, so you guys go, hey, we'll leave you a 5-star review. You guys know your stuff. And this is how I used to generate 30 referrals a year from each client. And I know that number because I used to measure my returns. So if you'd like to leave a message in the message box, we'll get in touch with you. Otherwise, how about we crack straight on into my 5-step referral process that will help you generate business. Now, the process I'm about to share with you, it's the exact process I used to close $440 million worth of home loans in 4 years. My average loan size, to put that in context, was $239,000, and I worked in a city of just 300,000 people. Now, if you do the numbers, you'll see I was closing around 40 loans a month, every single month. And this is the main strategy I used. Once again, in a town of 300,000 people, I worked in Canberra, which is the capital of Australia, but there's only 300,000 people there. Now, it's deceptively simple, but it's extraordinarily powerful. Now, the first step, if you want to receive referrals, is to make receiving referrals part of the transaction, make it part of the deal, to condition the client to accept that referring people to me was natural and warranted. And this is how I did it. At the end of the appointment, I would say, gee, thanks so much, John, for trusting me with your home loan. I promise I'm going to deliver you exceptional service. In fact, I have a service commitment document here, and I'm going to fill it out and give it to you so you can see exactly when and how we will be delivering our services. You see, to exceed the expectations of a client, you have to set the expectation. So then I'd go on to explain that the service commitment document had a list of the events the loan application would need to go through to be unconditionally approved and closed. I would explain that there was a time and date next to each event, and that we promised to call them at that time and date to keep them appraised of the situation. Now, I figured out there's only one thing that I can guarantee in my business as a loan officer. There's only one thing, and that was my communication, which just happened to be the number one complaint of every service industry in the world is communication. So I guaranteed my communication. I would guarantee when we call them. And to put the icing on the cake, I would tell them that if I missed a call point by just 1 second, so if I said I will call you at 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning, and I call you at 1 second past 10, I'm going to pay you $100 cash. Now, this did two things. First, it ensured I didn't miss an agreed call point because I didn't want to cost myself $100. Now, I had 3 processors working in my office for me full time, so they used to do all the calls, and I didn't want to cost myself $100, so we made sure we made all the points. I made a process to make sure we made all the calls and didn't lose any money. And second, it stopped the clients from calling my office to ask me where their applications were up to. And it stopped them because they wanted to see if they could get $100. Now, I was doing or closing 40 loans per month. So we used to have lots of people calling, so where's my loan up to, where's my loan up to? When we started promising this $100 if we missed a call, it dropped those calls by about 80%. They're what I call unwanted inbound calls. That's an inbound call that says, hey, you have to do something now because I've called and customer service dictates you've got to jump to action. Well, my business didn't work that way. I reduced those calls using this strategy by 80%. Then I would say, if we deliver exceptional service, as agreed on my document here, then you need to be the judge of that. You would have to be absolutely happy. Would you be happy to refer your friends and family if they needed a home loan? Well, the answer to that question is yes, because if I deliver exceptional service, they want their friends and family to experience it because it's so rare. And if I don't deliver exceptional service, they don't have to refer. They're off the hook. So now I've positioned referrals as being a natural part of the process. Then I would provide them with the tools and teach them how to refer. And this is how I did it. I need them to understand what to do. So I would give them 3 of my business cards with their name and number written on the back. Now, remember, this was a few years ago, so I would give them 3 business cards with their name and number written on the back. And then I would say, if I deliver exceptional service and you'd like to refer someone, would you give them my card and tell them that I'm the best loan officer you've ever met? And they go, well, of course we would, Daryl, not a problem. So I've given them a script. Call Daryl, he's the best loan officer you'll ever meet. Fantastic. Then I would say this, but I don't want you to do that until your loan is closed. I want to prove to you that we are going to look after you all the way through the process. So don't refer me to anyone until your loan is closed and you are completely comfortable that we are awesome at what we do. Now, the reality of the situation was this. I would have people ring me and say, Daryl, I know my loan hasn't closed, but I met someone at work. Do you mind if I refer them to you anyway? Well, of course, the answer to that question is yes. Refer them to me, not a problem at all. Step 3 then is I have to earn the right to ask for referrals. Now, how I did that was, imagine I took a loan application at 7 o'clock on Monday night. I would make the first call point at 10 a.m. Wednesday morning. That call point would be, I'll call you to confirm the lender has received your application and is working on your file. Knowing full well, we would have the confirmation well before that. How my business worked was I had 3 processors, that I said, who did all of the processing work on the file while I generated the business. I'd record my notes in a digital recorder that night. I did all my appointments in my office. Then I'd put the file with all the supporting documents with my processors on my processor's desk, and they would process it. The next morning, my processor would check the file, type up my notes, submit the loan to the appropriate lender. Within a couple of hours, we'd receive a notification that the loan had been received. So let's say that was 2 p.m. Tuesday. My processor would call the client and confirm the loan had been submitted and the lender was working on the file. Now, the client was expecting a call by 10 a.m. Wednesday. They receive a call at 2 p.m. Tuesday. So we've now exceeded their expectations. They've now gone, hang on a second, my first experience with you in your service delivery after we've done business has been positive. The processor that would then confirm the next call point. So let's say that was to confirm we have conditional approval. But that would be received, and that'd be call point 2. And let's say that we made the call point 1:45 Thursday. If we hadn't received conditional approval by 1:45 Thursday, the processor would call the client because we guaranteed them that we would call, not that we would have conditional approval. And so the process would go on exceeding expectations by setting the next call point. Step 4 was then to prompt for action. So for anyone to tell you the truth about the kind of service they receive, the loan needs to close, because up until it closes, clients think you can do something to disrupt it or even stop it from closing. So that's if they give you poor feedback. So they'll tell you it's fantastic until that point. So only after it closes can you get honest feedback. So once it closed, I would then ring the client and say, so tell me, John, your loan's now closed. How do we go in delivering our service? And they'd say, well, the appraiser was late and we had a bit of a problem with the closing, but I can't fault your office. Nicole, your process was fantastic. You guys did everything you said you were going to do. And I said, fantastic. Remember those 3 cards I gave you? Yes, I do. If you come across someone who's looking for a home loan, just hand them my card and remember to say, call Daryl, he's the best loan officer you're going to find. So that was the process of reinforcing that. Now, if they didn't refer me someone, I would call them every couple of months and ask them for a referral. I'd say, hey, how are you going? Now, the step 5 is to reward the behavior of referring, not the result. You don't promise anything. Now, this is a critical step because the referrer has no idea if the referee can do business with you or not. You never promise any kind of reward because, well, first, it might be illegal. And second, the unexpected gift is 10 times more powerful than the promised reward. You don't want them to refer because you promised anything. You want them to refer because you delivered exceptional service. And here's how it would go. I'd receive a call from someone who had been referred to me, and I'd ask them how they heard about me. And they'd say, well, I have a business card here. I'd say, do you have a business card? And they'd say, yep. I'd say, can you turn that card over and tell me the name and phone number on the back? I'd make the appointment, and because I always make the appointment with referral because I respect the referrer, I would then call the referrer and thank them profusely. But that's not enough. I used to buy red wine by the caseload, and it turned out that most of my clients drank red wine. So these weren't bottles of $5 wine. This is back in 2004, and I was paying between $30 and $40 a bottle. My PA would make up a nice little personal card with the referrer's name and the referee's name on it. Then if I could, on my way home, if it were possible, I would stop by and drop off the bottle of wine saying, I just want to drop by and show you how much I appreciate you referring Bob and Margaret to me. Now, there's a very good reason I stopped by to personally drop this stuff off, and most people thought it was because I wanted to impress my clients with my personal services, but really it was for two reasons. One, the first was when I got the wine, they would say something like, wow, you're going to give me a bottle every time I refer someone to you? And my answer is yes, of course. Of course I'm going to say thank you. Then they would say, have you got any more cards? And I'd go, here's another 10. We'd have a bit of a laugh, and then they'd invite me in, because the number two reason I was there, I'm driving home after a long day, I've just got a $40 bottle of red wine, we're going to share a glass together. So that's the second reason that I was there. So this is the number one marketing strategy that my mortgage business employed to generate leads. So have we got any questions? If you've got any questions, just jot them down. John's monitoring them at the moment. Very happy to answer any of your questions. And remember that our marketing makeover offer, we'll go through all the marketing to exactly how to fix it. And all we ask in return is that you allow us to use the results unnamed in our upcoming book. And for that, we'll do it for free. I normally charge around $1,000 for this, but we want to establish ourselves in the US, and I want to get some more content for my book. I want to be the preeminent person in the mortgage industry. So I interviewed 500 loan officers. So here's our email addresses again. So if you've got any questions, shoot them through on the chat, or alternatively, you can email us.
Yep, and we've got a few people here, Daryl, that have kind of reached out. And if you want to send us your contact information, if you already know that you'd like us to do that ahead of time, a few people already have, go ahead and just you can put it in the chat box or shoot us an email here directly, and we'll reach out to you within the next 24 hours with what are the next steps. So there aren't any other questions.
We've got one here from Ken. I'm a commercial finance broker. Can the strategies work to target? Yeah, absolutely. Can any professional service business, these strategies will work. So whether you're in real estate, whether you do commercial, whether you do residential, these strategies will work. It's simply a matter of understanding who your market is and then crafting the message specifically for that particular market. Isaac says here, do you have a YouTube channel? Yes, we do. I will send you the link to the recording, so you can watch that in your own time. Okay, Ken, we'll get in touch with you, Ken. Not a problem at all. We'll come through to you and set up a time with you. Another question here: do you work all across the US? Yes. Happy to work with anyone across the US. John just happens to be based in Chicago at the moment, but happy to work with anyone right across the US. So if you want the marketing makeover, happy to put that in place anywhere. Not a problem. It doesn't matter whether you're in real estate or whether you're in a loan officer or commercial. We're happy to do that. And Ken says, hope all is well in the land down under. Yes. Things are good down here, particularly in the bush where I live. I've got the birds singing outside at the moment. And having just gone through summer where we had days regularly over 100 and 110 degrees, seeing your temperature over there makes me happy that I'm actually at my house here in the bush. Okay, so if there's no more questions, everyone, thank you very much for coming along. We really appreciate you turning up. I hope you got lots and lots out of that. We'll send you the recording ASAP, and look forward to hearing from you in relation to getting your marketing makeover done. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.